Minister, what's going wrong and how long will it take to turn it around?
Well, look, thank you, Chair, and thank you, committee members. I'm really pleased that the committee is doing this work. I think it's really helpful. Waiting times for car practical driving tests are far too long. I spend a lot of time replying to letters from members of Parliament on behalf of their constituents, and they're right to be raising that. That's why the government is working to address the issue whilst upholding road safety standards, and that's really important. And obviously it was an issue that came out in your earlier session. We do take this problem seriously, and fixing it is a priority for me and our department. All of us understand how important passing your driving test is. It's one of those rites of passage. It's like learning to ride your bike or the first time you're allowed to walk to school on your own. Learner drivers who are ready to pass should be able to take their test. But as you've heard and as you've said, Chair, thousands of people face the choice between waiting many months, paying exorbitant fees, or travelling hundreds of miles to take a test. And many of the important points were made in the earlier session. The problem started when tests were paused due to COVID and a backlog built up. But there is more to it than that. There was a lorry driver crisis that meant for a period driving examiners were asked to focus on vocational tests rather than on car practical driving tests. That was the decision of the previous government, and given the crisis in freight deliveries, absolutely understandable, but that meant that the backlog grew. The demand for driving tests has actually also fundamentally changed since 2020. There's been a significant increase in the number of provisional licence holders who've passed their theory test and are now eligible to book a driving test. I think the previous government hadn't and DVSA themselves, I think, had not appreciated that change had occurred. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. And given the rise in waiting times, learner drivers are, as you've heard, booking their tests before they start lessons, planning to be ready to pass by the time that test comes around. And I don't blame them. That seems entirely logical. If you know that at the point that you're ready, you're going to have to wait 6 months, you're not going to wait until the point that you're ready. The mismatch between supply and demand has also presented, as you've heard, opportunities to the unscrupulous. Now, I want to correct something that was said in the earlier session, which is that every test booking has to be linked to an individual driving licence holder. You can't have multiple tests booked on one driving licence. However, if you give away your details, then someone can use your driving licence number to book a test, and of course they can be changed. So, So, as I say, with that caveat, apps have sprung up which use technology to find slots and charge learners for the service. So if you've got a driving licence booked, I think, Alex, you said you had someone from Dunstable who had a driving licence booked somewhere in Cumbria, is they've got that booking, but then they might sign up with a bot to find to get a swap so that they can cancel that test and have a new one that's nearer to home. The online booking service, which you've heard is the booking system used by instructors and driving schools to make bookings on behalf of their students, is also being exploited, and test slots are being booked and then using the details of one of the driving of a learner driver, but then being sold on the black market for, in some cases, absolutely huge profits. We are absolutely determined to stamp out these practices. We are determined to increase the supply of driving tests by recruiting more examiners, by making sure that people who come for a test are ready to pass, and by dealing with those rip-off practices that are affecting desperate learner drivers.